Been a while, sorry about that, I've been pretty busy. Had a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the Miami Dolphins, but I'm over that, so now it's back to my fourth greatest talent, making YouTube videos. Piggyback off established fan bases for... Okay. We are 7 weeks into the fall 2015 television season, which means by now we have a pretty good idea which shows are going to be around next year and which shows are minority reports. Today I want to take a look at what those shows are and also break down the networks as a whole and summarize their seasons to date. Now today, I'll be taking a look at the networks and their shows using the 18 to 49 rating demographic. To explain what this means, I'll be referring to the ratings through points. Each point refers to 1% of the potential 18 to 49-year-old audience. The more points a show has, the more valuable it is to advertisers who really decide whether a show will come back next year. Now before I break down the shows and networks, I have two overall observations on this TV season as a whole. First, the ratings are absolutely anemic. Broadcast television viewership is at an all-time low, and the networks are scrambling to find new shows like Empire to recapture audiences. My second observation is shows are no longer being outright canceled. In previous years, some shows like Minority Report, which I've already mentioned, would be very far off the schedule by now, removed after 2 or 3 weeks. Instead of shows being canceled immediately, they're having what's called reduced episode orders, which means instead of the 13 initially ordered episodes, it'll be 9 or 10, generally 10. The networks are not confident that whatever shows they bring in during mid-season will perform better than the shows they are taking off the air now. Alright, now let's talk about the specific networks and shows. Remember, I don't talk about the CW here, so we're just looking at the big four today. In fourth place is ABC, averaging a 2.1 rating so far. The most watched shows on ABC remain the Thank God It's Thursday Shonda Rhimes lineup of How to Get Away with Murder, Grey's Anatomy, and Scandal, all of which are averaging over a 2.2 rating. Additionally, sitcoms The Goldbergs and Modern Family are also high performers for the network. Modern Family's current 2.9 average is drastically down from last year's 4.3 average. All of ABC's returning comedies look safe for next year. The Goldbergs has a 2.2 average, The Middle a 2.0, Blackish a 1.9, and Fresh Off the Boat impressively with a 1.7. I say impressively because I was wondering if it was even going to be renewed last year. Fresh Off the Boat was only initially given the 13-episode order for this year, but has since been upgraded to a full 22-episode season. New sitcom Dr. Ken, starring Ken Jeong,
Buenos dias, children!
started with a 1.5 rating, but has only dropped to a 1.2, a healthy retention for a rookie show, especially on Friday nights where ratings expectations are lower than Monday through Thursday. It's been given a full season by ABC. ABC's other new sitcom, The Muppets, is performing well, but not impressively well. It started with a 2.9 rating before dropping like a rock, hitting a low of 1.3 before stabilizing last week with a 1.4. It's been given 3 additional episodes this year, a total of 16 instead of a full 22 episode season. ABC said this was planned to accommodate their new shows coming in mid-season, but I have a feeling that if The Muppets was performing better, it would have been given a full 22 episodes. So right now, Muppets performing decently, not impressively. We'll have a 16 episode season, and I hope it comes back next year because right now I think it's one of the funniest shows out there.
Hey!
Oh my goodness.
Watch where you're going, Frog.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lawrence. Hey, when are you gonna come do the show?
Well, if it keeps on sucking the way it did last night, never!
I was a little worried for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this year, seeing how its season 2 finale was its least watched episode, but it's been averaging a 1.5 so far this year, and seeing how most new shows are crashing and burning, the show's small but loyal audience should guarantee its return. Returning dramas Castle and Nashville are struggling. Nashville with a 1.1 rating, Castle with a 1.2 rating. I'm pretty sure the only way these shows return if ABC's mid-season lineup fails, and I foresee a scenario in which one of these two shows makes it and the other one doesn't. ABC's new dramas Blood and Oil and Wicked City are pretty much dead on arrival. Blood and Oil has already had its episode order reduced, and Wicked City, while aesthetically very impressive, I checked out the first episode only because of the visuals and 80s theme. It's still not that good of a show though, and well, gone. Well, soon to be gone. Finally, new conspiracy drama Quantico has been performing very well given its Sunday 10 p.m. time slot, averaging a 1.6 rating. The third place network is Fox, averaging a 2.3 rating thanks to Empire and nothing else. Nothing. Empire is a lifeboat that's keeping this network afloat. I actually have a visual rendering. That's Fox these days. Empire is the most watched show on broadcast this season, just like last year. It's currently averaging a whopping 5.4 in the key demo, whereas during its first season the ratings rose almost every week from premiere to finale. This year Empire is acting like a normal show where the ratings have dropped a bit from the season premiere. Empire is airing 18 episodes this year, a bit less than the standard 22 that normally makes a full season. Fox's second most watched show is newcomer Rosewood, starring Morris Chestnut, who I will always remember from ABC's V. Averaging a 1.8 rating and earning a prestigious 7% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Rosewood has been picked up for a full season by Fox. Gotham, in its second year, is averaging a 1.5 rating, about where it was back in the spring. It's safe for the rest of this year, and I would say next year too. Fox's new comedies, The Grinder and Grandfathered, have performed decent enough to be picked up both for the full year. The Grinder's averaging a 1.1 and Grandfathered a 1.2. If both shows maintain their current ratings, I can see them both returning next year, but if they continue to drop, I assume only one will be brought back. Averaging a 1.3 rating, limited series Scream Queens could come back next year, but it really depends on how badly Fox's spring lineup fails. Like I've said a couple times now, Minority Report is dead in the water, as is Sleepy Hollow in its third year. Right now, Sleepy Hollow is only averaging 0.9 of a rating per episode, and the only reason it might even stick around another year is for syndication purposes, but that really depends on how low the producing studio is willing to go with the show's budget and licensing fee. For now, I'm saying Sleepy Hollow gone after this season. Looking safe to return next year are comedies The Last Man on Earth and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, respectively earning a 1.3 rating and a 1.6 rating. Also averaging a 1.3 rating is aging drama Bones. I can see Bones returning once again next year, since it is a very reliable and consistent performer for Fox. It'll never have breakout ratings, but Fox knows it will not fail either. Like the fate of Scream Queens, the return of Bones likely depends on how well Fox's spring lineup performs. In third place is CBS, averaging a 2.5 rating so far. However, I want to make note that this number is somewhat inflated due to CBS having Thursday Night Football for the first 6 weeks of the broadcast season. In reality, CBS has less shows performing over a 2.0 ratings point than ABC. The highlight for CBS continues to be The Big Bang Theory, which is averaging a 4.1 rating. The show has already been renewed for next season and should be a CBS comedy staple for years to come. Entering its 13th season, NCIS is only averaging a 2.2 for CBS, down from last year's 3.3 and the prior year's 4.0. However, it's still the top-rated drama for CBS and should continue to air on the network until the show's costs become too high for the network. I have a feeling that could happen within the next 2 or 3 years. New sitcom Life in Pieces, featuring one of my favorite underrated actors, Thomas Sadoski.
You're my first and only choice.
What about Jerome?
He's in Bermuda.
Kathy?
It's her parents' 50th anniversary.
Taylor?
Bronchitis.
So...
Yes, you are my fourth and only choice.
Is averaging a 2.1 rating so far, and has already been given a full season pickup, and more likely than not will be back next year. Returning dramas Madam Secretary, Blue Bloods, NCIS New Orleans, Criminal Minds, and Scorpion are all averaging between a 1.3 and 1.8 rating, and I expect all to return next year. CBS historically renews the most dramas of all the networks, and I expect that trend to continue this year, even with the network experiencing the same ratings drop-off all the other networks are. New drama Limitless, a sequel of sorts to the 2011 movie, started off with a 1.9 rating, which has dropped to a 1.4 in recent weeks. It's been given a full season on CBS, and assuming ratings stabilize around a 1.4, it's likely to return next year. However, I'm having a hard time watching Jennifer Carpenter not swear every 17 seconds like she did on Dexter.
Quinn just proposed to me over pancakes. What the is wrong with him?
Rookie medical drama Code Black is averaging a 1.3, and while it's not yet been picked up for a full season, CBS has ordered 6 additional scripts from the writer's room, which means they want to see where the overall story is going before committing to more episodes. In its first 2 episodes, CBS's Supergirl has had a 3.1 and a 2.2 rating. That's enough to get it a full year, although it has not been announced yet. It really should be announced any day now, and I think it's likely to return next year as well. Aging dramas NCIS Los Angeles, The Good Wife, and Hawaii Five-0 are each averaging between a 1.1 and 1.2 rating, and their survival depends on how the rest of the CBS lineup plays out. I expect 2 of those shows to be gone next year. CSI Cyber will air a full 22-episode season this year, but barring a freak nuclear apocalypse survived by only cockroaches and Ted Danson, it will die a slow, quiet death Sundays at 10.
Oh my God.
And finally, the #1 network so far this fall is NBC, averaging a 2.8 rating. Why is NBC #1, you ask? Well, here's my counter question.
Are you ready to touch football?
Sunday Night Football, year after year, is the most watched regular program on network television, and it is factored into the ratings averages. Outside of football and reality show The Voice, new drama Blind Spot is a highlight for NBC, averaging a 2.5 rating so far. It has already been given a full 22-episode season, and it will be back next year. Expect it to be NBC's flagship program this year and next before being tossed aside for a shiny new toy for the network to play with. Right, Blacklist?
Probably.
Speaking of the Blacklist, it's performing much better than I expected. Marooned on Thursday nights, I thought the show was going to have a very steep drop-off in ratings this year, but to my surprise it's averaging a 1.5 and looks likely to return next year, if only for the syndication value. However, it's a long way until May, and I wouldn't be surprised if ratings for the Blacklist take a dive this upcoming spring like they did last spring. Chicago Fire and Chicago PD, soon to be joined by Chicago Med, are averaging a 1.7 and 1.5 rating respectively and aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Chicago is the new franchise for NBC ever since Law & Order fell off the map. And speaking of Law & Order, SVU has a 1.6 rating and is likely to return next year. Someone at NBC didn't think seasons 2 through 4 of Heroes were torturous enough, so now it's back. Not that anyone wanted it back, but NBC clearly doesn't listen to common sense. Starting with a 2.0 rating, Heroes Reborn has since dropped to a 1.1. It's a limited series this year, meaning that there will only be 13 episodes, and while NBC says there could be a second season, it really depends on how NBC's spring lineup plays out. Right now, Heroes Reborn is averaging a 1.4 rating, but I expect the ratings to continue to fall, and I do not expect the show to be back next year. Every episode of The Mysteries of Laura, NBC's only rookie show last year to get renewed, has seen a 1.0 to 1.2 rating. If it can maintain that consistency, it will be picked up for a full season. As for coming back next year, right now I would say it will not return. It only returned this year in the first place so that NBC could claim they had a success last year. One success, that's all NBC needs. Undateable? More like unwatchable. Averaging a miserable 0.8 rating, Undateable will be gone very soon, very quietly. Finally, there's The Player and Truth Be Told, both of which have been essentially cancelled with reduced episode orders. Wesley Snipes was more of a star in prison than he was back on television. One of NBC's most consistent and underrated performers over the past half-decade or so has been Grimm on Friday nights. This year, Grimm is averaging a 1.1 rating and really should be a lock to return next year. So to recap, the shows that have been cancelled so far are Blood and Oil, Truth Be Told, The Player, and Minority Report. The shows that have been picked up for a full season are Blind Spot, Rosewood, The Grinder, Grandfathered, Quantico, Dr. Ken, The Muppets, in a somewhat limited 16-episode season, Limitless, and Life in Pieces. Code Black has had scripts ordered, but not more episodes yet. I expect Supergirl to be picked up for a full season. Alright, based off the ratings so far, here are the shows I expect to be cancelled this upcoming May. One of either The Grinder and Grandfathered, Sleepy Hollow, CSI Cyber, and 2 of these 4. Hawaii Five-0, Code Black, The Good Wife, and NCIS Los Angeles. My guess is that Hawaii Five-0 and Code Black are the ones that bite the dust. The Mysteries of Laura, Undateable, Heroes Reborn, Nashville, and Castle, I expect all those shows to be cancelled. Returning next year, I expect to be, again, one of either The Grinder or Grandfathered, 2 of the 4 of Hawaii Five-0, Code Black, Good Wife, and Los Angeles. I expect it to be The Good Wife and NCIS Los Angeles. Blacklist, Dr. Ken, and The Muppets.
Hey, Kermit.
Yeah?
I just want to say I'm sorry about what I said about your show sucking.
Yeah?
I just had a really rough night.
Oh, I'm sorry. What happened?
I watched your show, and it sucked!
Alright, that is all I have today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully many more to come. Please feel free to comment below, like the video, share, whatever. Subscribe to get my latest videos, and stay tuned for more here on TV Junkie.